Harji Tomba Sanji Genji Jatra Zhentong Dan Jun Jiao Yani Pacho Genji Wana Langeva Sai Lama Nama Shangsara Ganga Tuzi Nyerloni Ta Tam Jirapang Yipshar Tam Bichunar Tonzarabi Kodam Dela Shangsara Ganji Trambi, Dungar Cancer, Jean, could be ten of the men, Chosoroa, Ongin Mango, Tontanala, so be Zai, Lamana, Shanzar. Truxam Dungar Chinda, Chidi, Imchen, Yasome, Honyo, Gilla, so, some Gentong, Nirta, Danjana, Tamba, Namjin, Sard, so, where is we up to, Julie?
Bottom of page 11.
Yeah. Page number we understand. We're talking about.
It starts the authors of the commentaries. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, read a little bit.
Okay. The authors of the commentaries on the intent of these texts were Asanga and his brother Vasubandhu. Asanga's commentary on the Uttara Tantra expands and clarifies this extraordinary system, and Vasubandhu's commentaries on the Prajnaparamita Sutra in 25,000 stanzas, called Conquest Over Harm, and the Dharma Dhammata Vibhanga are also extremely expansive and clear. In general, all of the treatises by these two brothers clarify the Zhentong madhyamaka.
Okay, this Dignaga?
No, next one.
Yeah.
Dignaga's next.
Yes, read that one too.
As for the general philosophical system of Gentong, this was elaborately explained in the works of Dignaga and Stiramati, as well as by many of their excellent students and successors. As for the extraordinary philosophical system of Gentong, since this is difficult for most people to comprehend, it was diffused through the manner of whispered ear-to-ear transmission to the most outstanding disciples. Later, there were many in India who confused this Gentong Madhyamaka with Chittamatra. Relying upon this, most Tibetans perpetuated this same confusion.
Yeah. Okay, so one way you can think about everything later version we call update. So Rangtong Madhyamaka and Gentong Madhyamaka, Gentong is a more update version. Who explained the commentaries, who made the commentaries for the Gentong, and which means everybody explaining the Buddha's three turns and veils, but the Nagarjuna, he is the first to explain that Buddha's Tripitakas. So he made more Mahayana points of view. And then he made big clear the emptiness, the negotiation, negating the two self. That is most extensive Nagarjuna he did. However, after a few hundred years later, that the Asanga come. So Asanga, as I said last time, Buddha prophesies who can distinguish what's the Buddha's provisional teaching and definitive teaching. Of course, same as that, Asanga come, but he didn't do just himself. Instead, 12 years he did retreat to a deity, Yidam deity as a Maitreya Buddha, Bodhisattva Maitreya. So then finally, Bodhisattva Maitreya told him all these 5 books. So, or then he made all the commentaries and all those things in here talking about here. Okay. So the Buddha materials, why we say asanga other than Buddha material? Because asanga is a human form. Buddha material is not human. Okay, so that's why we are humans. We need human evidence. So that's why that's why Buddha prophesies as a sangha. But a sangha, he doing with his yidam. His yidam is that's the Buddha material. So Buddha materials, the Abhisama Alankara, in there, most the teachings, the hidden teachings from the Buddha, which means the Buddha's the Tripitakas talk a lot of the emptiness. And then Nagarjuna made very clear everything. That is not hidden teaching. Even this emptiness stuff is not hidden teaching. It is obvious Buddha, because Buddha repeat in many ways and with many examples in Pashina Paramita and many versions. So that's why Nagarjuna, for him, is easy to commentate. But who did the most difficult commentaries is Buddha Maitreya and the Asanga, which means the hidden teachings. Buddha only hinted, but it's not very clearly described everything. Yeah, of course, some, but not everything repetitively. So that's why when Buddha materials that Abhisama Alankara talking about those hidden teachings and the emptiness, the negating the emptiness. But the third Dharma Vale's point of view only till a little bit, not too much, in the Abhisama Alankara. But the other one, Dordir Gentong, Gumtar Namjit, how you say that in Sanskrit?
Are you talking about the
After the Abhisama Alankara?
Dharma Dhammata Vibhanga?
Yeah, Dhamika Blanca and
Uttara Tantra?
not Uttara. Gumtar Namjit and Chunir Namjit. There's three together.
It's got Prajna Paramita.
No.
And if we go down.
Anyway.
Mahayana Sucharamkara Madhyanta Vibhaga.
Yeah, there's three together.
And Dharma
yes. Yes. Yes, these three together. Doton Tamon Mayan B Tramti Jimotenam Git Lama. So this Junior Namjan, these three books made more clear in the third Dharma, which means the Gentong view. Okay. However, the Uttara Tantra made the most clear. Okay. So Uttara Tantra considered the most high. That's why even is a sutra, but we call it Uttara Tantra, because it's like very similar of Tantra. So at least the bridge between the sutra and Tantra. That's why. Okay. So then this very concrete talked. Okay. So that means that who is the regional give the explanation of the pioneers of the Gentong is the Asanga and the Wazabadu. They are brothers, a younger brother. So also he made a commentary of Uttara Tantra as well, the Asanga. So then, Nyetim Jirwa, Anunjum. So the Wazabandu Dignaga, yeah, Dignaga, he is a commentary of this, that the, what do you call?
The Dhamma Dhammata Vibhanga.
Okay, whatever the is a commentary of a Parshina parameter. Okay, so Parshina parameters is usually belong to the second Dharma wheel. However, is second Dharma wheel is mostly explanation at the empty itself, Rangtong view, but it's not zero of Gentong. So that's why he explained there, and he explained the Gentong from the second Dharma wheel as well.
So our version doesn't mention by name the works of Dignaga. It just says it just references that he has the works of Dignaga and Stiramanti.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Shiro
mention.
Gentong Roma Kimchi ji Tanjun Tata Li Sarajang. Ringen ji Niti Mdirwa. Oh, it's Dignaga, not Dignaga, it's Wazabandu, sorry. It is Wazabandu. Chunyan Namji Jimdirwa Nekhdastim Sarajang. So the Chunyan Namji, the above the materials teaching also have they made a commentary, and there is very, very clear. Zhentong Tramta Shirna, Shogalang, Lotu Tamba. So then Dignanga and what you call Sitirimati, Lotu Tamba, in Tibetan we call Lotu Tamba. Lasopi, Hobjin Mangwa, Zanam Gichever Shetjans. So who taught the Zhentong that time? I also heard some scholars said that even these people didn't agree with Nangajuna completely. Okay. But in Tibet, Lamas, we don't deny anything Nagarjuna. But I heard that Indian scholars, they said these ones, they even argue with Nagarjuna. But Taranatha, he nor argue Nagarjuna, he Nagarjuna understand the Gentong. Definitely he said that. But whatever is there is some even Nagarjuna, if no problem, but his students, his disciples, maybe have some problem. That's why Chanta Komi and Chanta Kirti also debate 7 years. Remember, so in Nalinda. So that's the story. Thamo main pana Zhentong thamo main pana Zhenki longor Khongkana Khongkai Khongkani Thomam Chuknam la Nyanya to just also the most difficult part so they did air to air so the not easy to understand Zhentong Roman de temps. And also then that's why later on many other Tibetans, they mistake and mixed between Chitamata and this Yogacara. Okay. So Yogacara means the Gentong view, so a Gentong lineage. So the Yogacara and the Chitamata mixed, some people half understanding, some people quarter understanding. So thus things is a lot, he say. So that can be true because, for instance, like China, Buddhism arrived earlier than Tibet, but they don't have this argument, They don't have this Rangtong Gentong argument because they don't distinguish too much the Yogacara and Madhyamaka. They just go, all of them similar, so they just go like that way. But the Tibetans made a distinguish and then arguing like that. What the Lopentemi of John Tramta, Sovereigns Ba, Lota Dario Dorjetang, and Couch.
Haven't read that yet.
Yeah, read that one.
In Tibet, although there were many scholars who translated these texts, among those who authentically upheld this philosophical system were Lotsawa Zulgawe Dorje and Sen Rinpoche, Kawashe, and those
Rinpoche.
Sen Kawashe.
Oh, yes.
and those of the meditative tradition of the 5 treasures of Maitreya. In particular, the one who made the profound Gentong pervade throughout this land like a lion's roar was the great omniscient Dolpopa Sherab Geltsen.
Okay, so that's why the Zhentongpa believe their view is the Zhongnongpa view is the superior, because they're not just intellected, and then they are meditative and have the realization lineage. They come transmitted from the Dagutsan Kawachi and Zikawi Dorji, these 2 special translators. They did that, and kept the Zhentong also they did transmit that way. So that means the lineage is long time, but who made Gentong is the debate Rangtong and defeated Rangtong, and then make a very accessible and extensiveness. Who did is the Torpo Bashir of Johnson. So that is only 14th century. Until 14th century, the lineage very clear. The meditatives, they know, they have the realization, everything. But on the text and debate on the public, these things only happened during Torpo Bacham. Okay? So now, okay, so now, what's the title?
Identifying the classifications of Madhyamaka.
Yeah. So then, what's the text name?
The ordinary meaning of Madhyamaka, the text is Madhyanta Vibhanga.
Madhyanga Vibhanga, so that Tibetan called Huntar Namjit. So what that's inside, what say, you just read it.
Erroneous conceptualizing exists. In that state, duality does not exist. In this state, emptiness exists. In that state, this also exists. What is not empty is not non-empty. In this way, everything is explained. Because there is existence, there is non-existence. Because there is existence.
Okay.
This is the way of Madhyamaka.
Okay, that one is like verses. Then that's a commentary. Now we do know, and then you understand the verses. Okay, otherwise it's difficult. Kanzub demba tan lava pi want fina nawar na sokpar charvi hipa yang tak mentok zamne kanzub to your last. So when we establish and try to understand the conventional truth or the relative truth, at that time, there's so many appearances, so many. All of them is we can say it is exist only relative level. So that, but then we thinking there is what do you call it? The two things, objective or subjective, right?
Yes.
This is separating is not true. They are, it's not separated. Appears separated, but it's not separate. It's like that.
Duality.
Yeah. Kunzup tayang yotpa mayano. So this separation, what appear is not even exist in the relative level. Okay. Ina kunzup dembayang thagni litorwa in this. So therefore, this relative phenomenon also free from 2 extremes. Because kunzup the yopa zamli we mean tatans. Because you agree and understanding that the thoughts and concept and everything, the mind, basically, everything you agree in is relatively exist. Therefore, you are not nihilism. Chantali Turlas, Mentadang, Chantali Turla. Gazongchan Zincha, so Tuchu, drop the tamshin lindipis. So the duality is you not agreeing, therefore is free from the eternalism. Okay, this one we call liberation, or what we call unliberation, isn't it?
Unliberation.
What's it?
Elaboration.
Yeah, elaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, elaboration, this emptiness, right? This yeshi, this you can say primordial consciousness, this elaborated emptiness. So therefore, nam hi yang tak mentok this ordinary mind is not truly exist as same as the Dharmata. So when we have afflictions and obscurations, that time, this Dharmata is how do you say obscured, but it's obscure, unvaluable. How you say where they are truly exist? They exist. So which means you can reveal anytime. Is revealable or whatever you the words.
Knowable. Yeah.
Okay. From Shatama din making uni chipshates. From Shatama din making or you chipshates. So even these afflictions and obscurations, they are exist from the relative level, conventional level. And so therefore, that's the ultimate truth is free from two extremes, because because this emptiness, talking about the Gentong emptiness, the extrinsic emptiness is truly existent. These thoughts and this emotion, the minds and this subjective, objective, everything, or the existence not truly exist. Therefore, everything is free from the or the extremes. Okay. Tavina kunzup zonzun nginen trvi nawatsam kharwatsam machtok rankingo tribji tribmebishna rankingo stongas. So why we say all the phenomenal relative things is not truly exist? Because they are not inherently exist in themselves. So that's why it's empty itself. Relief shevi Rjanking or Tapa Hipshala mustard pictures. And also there are also Gentong. So why? Because any existent things, you only exist is identify yourself, but you cannot exist something else. So that's why. Impossible. Therefore, you can say everything is empty of other. Okay? Namba kandastowa namba kandastowi mertowa menlas. So therefore, always is emptifiable. So that's why it's empty. But the Dharmata mind, or Dharmata wisdom, or you can say Dharmata the consciousness, or whatever you say, this one is you exist from the beginningless, or you can say primordially you exist. That's why Tripchang Nam Tayang Jirwa may be Shirs. So, and impossible to change anytime, impossible. Okay? Maybe Shir, Rank Ngou, Tonga minds. Therefore, you can't say it empty itself. Okay, then you cannot say it empty itself, then is empty of other. Still, it can be empty of other. Therefore, you cannot be empty itself. Therefore, always there is always exist. Then, when we say this, then people have this doubt. Onam dor nam se chuyan te yang tonwar sonwa mayin nam jenas. Okay, then why all many sutras say this, even the Dharmata itself is empty? They said. Why? How come? If you have that question, and the answer is shir tonwa tang tongit yin kyang. Rang ngou tonwa mergudes. Okay, so yes, the sutras said emptiness, empty, because it is empty. But if it's empty, then you don't have to be empty itself. The sutra is not saying empty itself. This dharmata, the Buddha nature, is not empty itself. Just saying empty because is empty of other. Okay. Then what sutra was saying? The sutra was saying this Buddha nature is empty because the saying is this primordial Buddha nature is only empty of all the liberations of all the details of the phenomena of existence, the relative existence, you know. So that's why only reason saying emptiness. It's not saying empty itself. That's why you can say the ultimate truth, Buddha nature, is extrinsic emptiness, yes, but not intrinsic emptiness. And the other phenomena, all relative phenomena, include two selves. They are extrinsic emptiness and also intrinsic emptiness, both. Okay, that's very different. Taken yon to party, taken yon to party, and Sanyit Sam Li Gentong. Okay, then is another way of deviation. You can say three natures. Everything is divided in three natures. So then the first one is you can call
Imaginary.
Imaginary. Yeah, imaginary.
Relational.
Relational.
And perfected.
Yeah, perfect. These three. So imaginary and relational. So the imaginary phenomena is space and so forth, and not truly really exist, but in our mind label, how do you say? We imputed from the mind. That one's you can call imaginary nature or imputed nature. Okay, they not exist even in a relative level. if you identify where are there, and I said space, and only the in the mind, your conceptual level of the objective things and the appearance things, and for instance, like name. A name you thinking is the real object, like that. The name and the real object different, but you thinking is the same. Okay. You appears for you is the same. This relation, the name and object between. All that kind of many imputations, all of them. Then what is the relational? What is the relational? That is subjective objective mind. So why is there correlational? Because you are relatively true, only relatively true. Why relatively true? Because it's relational, interdependent with your propensities, karmic propensities. Oh, can't move this. I don't understand. Okay, no. Okay, karmic propensities. So that the parallel established, or you could say the perfection, the last nature is not like that. That's only you can see self-aware, right? It's very clear for the self-awareness. Don't have any the how you say, the other fabrications. Then if you, okay, what is this? Oh, this is dharmata. Dharmata and dharmadatu, right? How do you say those things?
We've got the actual nature of phenomena, the expanse of phenomena, the actuality of existence, ultimate reality.
Okay. Oh, this one is the last nature. So this one, and according to Gentong, this one and the Buddha nature and the ultimate truth are same. Okay, but according to Chitta Mata, same name but not same meaning. Okay, different. So maybe I don't talk details of that. Make confused. Tela janron kentagni dinber minyam tang triva yinyam tang. So the first two natures, they both as not true and tela janron kentagni dinber minyam tang. Not true and equally true, equally not true and equally is illusion. Okay. Conzob tang zinba yinyam yin kyans. Conzob tang zinba yinyam yin kyans. They both relative and they are they're both relative equally. However, you can make distinguish between them. That is the relational ones. They are conzob tang mit. 근접당 진바이념 인경 찬이 소술 실구바는 근접당 mit. So do you see as a contradiction here? You know, they both above say they both equally, what say, read.
What necessarily differentiates these distinct natures is that while the imaginary nature does not even exist relatively, the relational nature does not relatively exist.
Does.
No one before.
Sorry, does relatively exist. before that,
They said they both relatively equal. What does it?
This being so, both the imaginary and relational natures are equally devoid of being real, equally distorted perceptions, and equally relative and artificial.
Okay, and then continue.
What necessarily differentiates these distinct natures is that while the imaginary nature does not even exist relatively.
Okay, then this one is how you not contradict. They here say no, relatively not exist. Above said is a language play.
Devoid of
different
being
meaning. Do you understand? Ron, you understand that
So
how they differ?
equally not real in the ultimate sense, right?
So means basically simple way. Above said they both equally relatively exist, right? So which means the appearance level they both exist, but the reality level the imaginary nature is not even reality because only imputed imagination. So okay, so then say the relational one is yes, the relatively exist. Yongtabna concept mela tontam the yotpa dimba yopaos. This is the perfectional nature is not exist in relative and only exist absolute level. Okay, ultimately. So you see, yeah. So that's I have to remember. In even the same name, then Chitamata, then not same. Okay. So this for Chitamata, this their perfectional nature have many different ones. But here only you can understand Buddha nature. It's much easier. And the Chitamata make different, many different versions of this perfectional. Okay. Devjin tekentagna takpa yot patang, zisi yo patang. So that means the imaginary nature is only exist in imputed level, and the relational level is substantially exist. That's saying it's a difference. Then the perfect in nature is not a both way, not imaginary way, not substantial way. Not both way, then how you way is, what to say?
Free from fabrication.
Yes, free from fabrications way exist, okay? So that's why some people think that Gentong say everything exists, truly exists. Oh, that seems like a non-Buddhist view, but it's not, because the means already free from fabrication, as Rangtong the highest view saying on, okay? So yeah, now they're telling this, or everything is empty, right? Everything is empty, but a different way of empty. According to Gentong, you have to say everything, every existence is have empty nature, okay? But a different way. So then the first one, imaginary nature, is empty of never exist, okay? Never exist in emptiness, okay? Empty because it never existed, even no relation level, even relative level. Okay, the relational one is empty of existence. So why empty existence? Because existence means it exists relatively. But if you compare the ultimate absolute, then it's empty. So you have to understand empty means, in general, empty means absent, not exist, Okay? Everything, only difference is when you come to the Gentong, then empty different, extrinsic empty. So then the perfectional nature is the absolute empty. Absolute empty means extrinsic empty, not an intrinsic. If it's intrinsic empty, then you cannot be absolute. Okay, so that's it. Then this is the very key important understanding. That's the mostly Rangtong not understanding, because Rangtong is always mixing all the two truth. So that's why, or then sometimes say, oh, emptiness is the absolute truth, or emptiness is nothing. Sometimes say nothing. Sometimes say not nothingness. Sometimes say nothing. It's contradicted all the time. So that's why, if it's a gentle way, then you don't have to contradict anything whatsoever. So that's why here they're quoting material. Maybe stone nit shishan, devjin yopi stone nit tang, rangjin stone nit hina, stone nit hipa jibjotos. If you understand the emptiness means you know the empty of non-existent, and empty of existent, and empty of the nature of the emptiness. If you understand these three different emptiness, then you can say, I understand emptiness. But if you don't know these three, then you can't say, I understand emptiness. So that means you accusing Rangtong, they don't understand these three types of emptiness. Okay? So that's why the non-existent is the imaginary emptiness. The second one is the existent emptiness, the relational one. Okay, then the last one, perfection, is the wrong vision. Perfected emptiness. Another translation where you can say nature emptiness or something like that. But it's okay. So if you literally translate it, then it's like nature emptiness. But okay, they have translated perfect emptiness. Okay. So this explaining the imaginary one is identiless, right?
Devoid of the very essence of characteristics.
Yes, devoid to the very essence of characteristics. The second one.
Devoid of the very essence of what is born.
Yeah. So that is the second one, relational one. Last one.
Ultimately devoid of any essence.
Okay, Tontam ngo nyit mepa os. Tontam means the absolute, true, any other things empty of any other. Meaning like that. Okay? So that's the real emptiness. The great emptiness is that. Everything else just temporary, or how to say, is provisional. Ngo nyenner nafsam ki, ngo nyenmer nafsam la, stenni churnam tamchinna, ramjin me prahtambayins. So quote again. Okay, read that one.
Of the three natures, by relying upon the three that are devoid of any essence, it is taught that all phenomena are devoid of any intrinsic nature.
So, according to Gentong, everything, every knowable means every existent, all of them is be kept means pervasive, yeah, is empty. Okay, because we said above, ngonin me pi kavlas, ngonin me pi kavlas, dina chunit giston nitang, chunit tonit metper, kilen bar Zhentong lug yinkes. Okay. Dina chunit tonit tang, chunit tonit metper kilen bar Zhentong lug yinke. Rangtong per chakwi lugla angar yotos. Okay, read that one.
In this system, it follows that everything knowable is emptiness because they are devoid of an essence. With this in mind, that there is an emptiness of the nature of phenomena and that there is a non-emptiness of the nature of phenomena is accepted within the Gentong system, while there are internal contradictions to that system known as Rangtong.
Okay. That is the difficult one, okay? Dina chunit stonit tang, chunit tonit meper kilemba, Gentong lugins. Gentong ba saying, chunit, how to say it? Dharmataya, or how they translate it?
Just says
Or just say it again, read again.
in this system, it follows that everything knowable is emptiness because they are devoid of an essence.
Yes.
With this in mind, that there is an emptiness of the nature of phenomena.
Yeah, nature means chunit, dharmata. Nature means dharmata. Okay, is an ultimate nature can be empty or not be empty. Okay. Usually when we say empty means itself. So the nature or the ultimate nature cannot be empty itself. That is a Zhentong. Understand? Rangtong said, oh, emptiness itself is a nature. Okay, so then for Gentong, that's contradicting. If something is the ultimate nature, cannot be empty itself. If it's empty itself means non-existent. Okay, same equal as non-existent. Empty itself and non-existent, both relative and ultimate level non-existent for Gentong, that is equal. But Rangtong is saying emptiness itself is the ultimate nature. Okay? Yeah.
Therefore, the pure Rangtong that was taught by the Buddha is that which abides as intrinsically empty within relativity, as well as within these three that are devoid of any essence. So those who assert Rangtong unerringly, and those who definitively assert that there is no essence, are both proponents of Gentong.
Yes. Okay. Tina sangi gixon yi Rangtong namne kunzob Rangtong de nipan de yin chance. So okay, then if you wonder, is Buddha himself taught is self-empty? Is Buddha is himself taught this Rangtong? Means yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, then what does that mean? Means is all this relative phenomena itself empty. Means that. Okay. Ngo nyin me pa yang sambon da yang yin pi Rangtong manurwa mawatang ngo nyit met par mawa yin ngin Gentong mawa yin os. Okay. Ngo nyit me pa yang sambon da yin peace. So these three natures, who taught that? Also Buddha taught, right? And Yinpi, Rangtong, Manorvar Mawatang. If you want, say, the empty itself very clearly, then we have to describe what above. You have to distinguish these three natures and then different emptiness. You have to explain that way. He's saying that. If not, then therefore, the who is really what say the before the before the two names, before that, what say?
So those who assert Rangtong unerringly, and those who definitively assert that there is no essence, are both proponents of Gentong.
So this part you understand? What I said is matched the written?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, well, I think it did.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's some, we go on with
names. Yes.
That Bhava Viveka, Buddha Palita, and others are known as asserting Rangtong and the lack of any essence is a case of giving priority to what has become widespread among ordinary worldly people.
Okay. Lagdanjig Sanji Jansok Rangtong dance. So who what is the worldly, spiritually knowing what? Not knowing what? The word, how translated that?
That
Some Vanessa says you left off at some may wonder. I think it's the last spot.
Oh, okay. We didn't read that yet. Okay. Some may wonder, if the perfected nature is established to be real, does it arise, dwell, and subside? Does it come and go, change and reverse, have time and spatial reference? Is it one or many?
Okay. The Kimin Gurmin. And draw me by maximum mind be given human. Ranking of Samson Jackson or sure 2 times it down terror. Okay. So draw kir do sure to stick down Thomas or Yotba. Jena mind. So all of them is not exist. Then you are not then mit ENP cap chance. If you have this all of them, then any of them you had, then is meant to be not truly exist. Then this. So this Buddha nature is not that, is not born and never never is, yeah, is never go, never come, is not one, is not plural and not single, is not cause and not effect. Characteristics and all of them, yeah, I don't know how to say exactly.
It's written here.
Yeah.
It necessarily follows that whatever possesses, those are not real. The perfected nature is without arising, without dwelling, and without subsiding. It does not come or go. It is not one or many. It is without cause or result by way of its own nature. It is beyond definition, what is to be defined, and their respective basis. It is free from all time and spatial reference. By way of its own nature, it is not related to the actual phenomena of the relative. Because it does not have separate parts that can be broken off, it remains partless. Because this is the actuality of all phenomena, this is omnipresent and all-pervasive.
Okay. It's all talking about the Buddha nature. So Buddha nature is the different aspects talking about, okay? So what Julie, go back at the above, you know, the Buddha Palata, both the names after that, what say?
And others are known as asserting Rangtong, and the lack of any essence is a case.
Just say Rangtong?
Yeah.
Didn't say ardent-less or essence-less or something?
And the lack of any essence.
Oh, yeah, okay. So why they say this one, Rangtong, but they call essence-less? Because is Rangtong, Gentong is the Tibetan word. Tibetans made up name. But in India, this Rangtong ba called essenceless. Okay, that's what they're talking about. Okay. Now, Moma in Biton.
The extraordinary meaning of madhyamaka.
Yeah.
From Maitreya's Mahayana Sutralamkara, it reads, because the nature within everything is utterly pure without distinctions, it is the Tathagata itself. This is the essence dwelling in all beings.
Okay. So again, then everything referring to the Buddha Maitreya, Tevjin Tamchella Chapter made Kyang Takirawas. So the Buddha nature they're talking about, okay? Tevjin Xirinit Teifshir, Droken Tei Nyochens. Basically, everybody had the Buddha nature. Everybody has, and the Buddha nature, you don't need develop or anything. It's impossible, already perfect forever. So that's why there's nothing, But Dokken Tei Nyaochen means is the essence. The sentient being's essence is Buddha nature means, why I say essence? Because temporarily sentient beings cannot see that, cannot understand this. That's why the problem. So that's why I call essence. Otherwise, all sentient beings have to be Buddha. So that's why the just language play you call essence. You call Buddha nature. Is you can't call Buddha sentient beings. You just call Buddha nature. But if that level, the ultimate truth level, the Buddha and all sentient beings equally. But only the relative level is not equal. Okay. Devjang shirpi ngok chik chang, tenye devjang shirpi nyon donte, devjang shirpi nyon tang, dekshir nyon tang, sangi nyon, there's different names. Okay, just read that. Different way of saying.
The terms the essence of the Tathagatas, the essence of the Sagatas, and the essence of the Buddhas all have the same meaning. Even though this resides equally within Buddhas, sentient beings, and all phenomena, it resides in the manner of an embryonic essence within sentient beings, while it resides in a fully manifest manner within Buddhas.
Yes, that's the only difference. Yeah.
Likewise, this essence dwells within the core of the mind streams of sentient beings as the ultimate Buddha, and all sentient beings are said to be endowed with this essence of the Tathagatas.
Yes. So is something inside, not outside. That is just like metaphor. Metaphor is not matter of inside or outside. But it's just there's no other way to describe language. Human language and human concept have limitations. So only way communicating that way. Okay. Yeah.
This essence of the Sagatas also lies within sentient beings and is alternatively referred to as the natural abiding spiritual affinity and the factor within sentient beings.
Yeah.
Some may wonder, since this nature resides in the manner of an essence within Buddhas, and since it resides in the manner of an embryonic essence within sentient beings, is this nature twofold?
Okay. Ina sangi di devjin shikhi tsartavjik ba mayan jang. Ina sangi la devjin nyit nyau tsartavjik ba mayan jang. Semchen la nyau tsartavjik ba yenpi devjin nyit gnis ngiram. Oh yeah. So they say, okay, then Buddha have obvious level and sentient beings in essence level. So that means different Buddha natures. Okay. So the meaning, the answer is the no difference, no two Buddha natures, same. So Buddha is himself is that nature. Sangi jipa kipi tonchen chatyans. Sangi jipa kipi ton. Usually, sangi means is a person, talking about a person, wakened a person. Okay, Rangit the Rang Lama. So for Buddha is himself, true nature is not secreted, not obscured. Nyauton korona Nyauton Kona, Nipa, Ripa. So it's that for sentient beings is kind of like secured, no, so secured. I don't call it. No.
Further on, it's indwelling and hidden.
Yeah, hidden level. Korwipi nyau drafshet saltan. Sangi devyen kona. Imbatan simchen li kyang san. Simchen la ni kyang san. Simchen rang kunguni thwameba. Sentient beings, even you have the same nature of Buddha, but you cannot experience because you are illusional level, right? So when we say you and me cannot experience Buddha nature, means we're talking about illusional me, illusional yourself, not talking about the ultimate yourself, okay? That's important, understand? But Rangtong, there's no such thing, ultimate yourself, only one, this illusional one, nothing else, okay? Because it's all is not true, that's why. Because the both true truth is equally is empty self, that's why. Nyauton mangerwaran chapi tse sargi nyeki nyawachin yentes. So yeah, okay, read that one.
However, when the meaning of essence is explained as being invariable, it is understood that even a Buddha is endowed with the essence of a Buddha.
Yeah, Devina. Devjang Shekpa Binyon, Rungubo dan Rungumi Reni Cherli Torvi. Okay, read that one.
Therefore, this essence of the Tathagatas is free from being substantial or insubstantial.
Yeah. Dumavshi Girmutan Tambi in Dumavshi Bao. That one.
This is the actual unconditioned and the unconditioned ultimate.
So, Yantak Sawa Tanmo Mayan Pi Lugna, Sargi. Okay, read that one.
As for the extraordinary and secret abiding reality, there are no disagreements about the fact that the expansive phenomena that is Buddhahood exists as the nature of every enlightened quality of a Buddha, and is consequently not divisible from the expansive phenomena that is sentient beings.
Okay, okay, where are we up to? I forgot. Where we
did unconditioned and the unconditioned ultimate. Extraordinary and secret abiding reality. There are no disagreements.
We are very close to the.
We're close to the next stanza.
Next stanza, what's it?
From Uttara Tantra.
Oh yes, it's
just above that.
Well, read that one. Yeah, it's the clear light, that one.
Yeah, yeah. That which is radiant, uncreated, indivisible, and surpasses the sands of the river Ganges, is itself endowed with every phenomena of Buddhahood.
Okay. Okay, now how much left? Some.
Page 17.
We can live here, do you think?
There's,
any questions? We should have.
There's about 10 more pages.
If you can do another page.
Okay.
We've got, we got to get to 22 is the end of the.
Okay, then we go another page, okay? So this is the, we quoted that the Uttara Tantra, because Uttara Tantra, everybody agrees. So that's why I say very clearly here, Buddha nature, as Gentong described, exact. But then some people agree, some people just, how do you say? Sometimes a little bit tricked that, not tricked, what do you call cheated, yeah, no, twisted. Yeah, sometimes they're twisted a little bit. The other was, it's very clear what the Gentong explained, the Chonong Bawe. Okay, read them.
As it is explained, this expansive phenomena is endowed with every enlightened quality that comprises the nature of the unconditioned. This is every enlightened quality of ultimate Buddhahood. Therefore, the pristine awareness of the expansive phenomena solely pervades ultimate reality. Even though from primordial time, the other four types of pristine awareness primarily abide as the ultimate, each has slight relative portions that are realized anew through the process of meditation along the path. The 10 powers, 4 kinds of fearlessness, and so forth are similar as well. The qualities of an exalted body, such as the major and minor marks of beauty, and the qualities of exalted speech, such as the 60 variations of melody, each equally share aspects that are relative and ultimate. Similarly, the essential dimension is entirely ultimate. The exalted dimension of phenomena is predominantly ultimate, and both the resplendent dimension and the eminent.
Okay. Okay, this one I explain a little bit. This one is very different than Gentong and Rangtong point of view. So Gentong was in the Buddha nature, exact Buddha, exact every single quality, not missing zero, exist and within the sentient beings. Okay. So then some say, oh no, just empty nature, that's all exists. Some people say, oh, a little bit more than that, a little bit maybe clear light, okay, but not everything. Why they think it's not everything? Because if it's everything, they think then it's become, no, then we have to agree the sentient beings is Buddha, okay? So Gentong was saying, no, and it doesn't have to be sentient beings as a Buddha, because they're just two different dimensions of truth we're talking about. When we're talking about sentient beings, always only relative level, no, nothing else. And when we're talking about all the Buddha's qualities, we're talking about the ultimate truth and the relative Buddha, okay? Relative Buddha means Buddha Shakyamuni, like Buddha Shakyamuni, a human being, and have these 30 manner marks on the 10 qualities for fairness, everything for fearless, everything Buddha had, Buddha Shakyamuni has, and then ultimate Buddha, of course, they have even more. More means it's something innumerable way. So that's why Zhentong think that's no problem whatsoever, because two different the truth levels we're talking about. But the Rangtong think, oh no, cannot be that way. And then yes, the all sentient beings have to be Buddha. But the Rangtong also not everybody same. Some Rangtong kind of agreeing, not fully agreeing, but it's mostly agreeing like that. So okay. And then the enjoyment body, the Sambhogakaya body and Nirmanakaya body, Rangtongbas have only one. One level of the Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. But and the Zhentongbas talking about, okay, the ultimate, the absolute Nirmanakaya and absolute Sambhogakaya, but the also relative Sambhogakaya, relative Nirmanakaya, they have both, okay? And then Dharmakaya is only absolute level, not relative level, okay? That's you have to understand. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure where you got down to, but
it's okay, wherever
have you got King Dharanisvara Sutra?
Or the activities and all of them is all of them, nothing's missing, and the ultimate truth and the Buddha nature, nothing's missing.
Okay, I'll keep reading that. So from primordial time, all that is ultimately consumed within the exalted dimensions, types of pristine awareness, qualities, and enlightened activities abides within the essence of the Tathagatas. When someone becomes a Buddha, these are not then newly acquired, but are merely separated from the defilements that have eclipsed them. However, all that is relative is realized anew. That is why Buddhas of the past and Buddhas of the future are ultimately of the same identity. Even those who are relative are undifferentiated in their nature from the time they realize Buddhahood and from that time onwards.
Yeah. So anything create new accumulation, everything, that's only relative level. Okay. Ultimate level, you have everything. Okay. Donma ni gani pi sangi na lamgi sangi ki drapa drapyok tang tara yin bi trandi ji fiajans lamia tim driv ti trargi ji gimdi takhwa means. Okay, read that one.
Nonetheless, until that time of realization, they are different, even though they are expressed as being neither the same nor different. Therefore, the newly realized causes and effects that are generated through meditation along the path are effects that are produced, but are not real. However, Buddhahood that abides from primordial time, and it is this Buddhahood that is merely freed from the coverings that obscure it through the meditation along the path.
Yeah.
This process is called the liberative effect, while the path is referred to as the cause of liberation. These are merely imputed causes and effects, not actual.
Yes. So that means when we go in the enlightened path, then we actualize in our Buddha nature. You know, all the paths, accumulations, everything you can say are cause and effect. Cause and effect is the cause and condition, and then the result is Buddha, Buddhahood. But that is saying imputed cause and effect, not real cause and effect. Like we plant plants and then grow plants, and plant green and grains and then grow grains. Not like that real cause and effect. It is something you unveil, and then you originally primordial or the Buddha nature you just unveil. Like that way is the cause effect. Saying that. Okay?
Moreover, this liberative effect is not the analytical cessation that is described in the Abhidharma as liberation that is mental exhaustion. This is a real cessation and an ultimate liberative effect, such as is explained in the King Dharanisvara Sutra, where it reads, because this is exhaustion from primordial time, it is called exhaustion.
So exhaustion of the mental afflictions. So then you just like exhaust the dirtiness from anything, then shines like that. But the dirtiness didn't made that shine jewel. Jewel is outside dirty. Then you wash the dirty, they just see, but it's not created that jewel. Yeah. Okay, read that more.
Some may wonder, since obscurations are relinquished through the power of the path, wouldn't this be equivalent to mental exhaustion? Obscurations are not relinquished from the perspective of the expanse of phenomena, but are relinquished from the perspective of individuals. So for those individuals who are Buddhas, their realization is merely designated as realization through the liberation of mental exhaustion. However, since the expanse of phenomena is unblemished by defilements from primordial time, there is no new exhaustion through the mind.
Yes. So the question saying, lam ki drapar fawa yin pi, vlo zapar tonchik parengiror nyamnas. So okay, so if Japan churang nguni fawa mai fir, kanzak nguni fam. So if there's nothing to abandon, and then this Buddha nature itself perfect, so it's not the person doesn't make any differences. If people think that, then the answer is yes, because who did this person personalize it? personalize it. The individual person did that. That's why it make differences at the individual level. It's not the Buddha nature itself is not make differences, but the individual level make differences. The individual person went into that process. Yeah.
Because of this, the essence of the Tathagatas and the non-dual pristine awareness that pervades the nature of phenomena are equally adorned with all of the ultimate enlightened qualities of Buddhahood. Just this great and invariable perfected nature is endowed with every aspect of pristine awareness while remaining free from all fabrications. This is the only unmistaken abiding reality.
Okay. So here explaining is dina chunilla nyamba nyet the kapi nimi gi hi de khigno sar gi yonam tadak tam gi jambali tuba tam che tam re hi gi namba kan da ba de ngir me yon trip chimbo in jaso. They're explaining just the last nature, you know, the three natures. The perfection in nature is everything, all these qualities and everything. Talk about that. Just identify what is the perfection of the perfect nature. The connection only this one is the ultimate truth. And why we say this is truly existent? Why say truly existent? Because the Arya beings unmistaken directly can perceive that, experience that. That's why it have to be real, have to be true. If it's not true, then what these Arya beings can perceive? Why they call Arya beings? That's saying, okay? Girva may be than because unchangeable, that's why. Okay, what are the names? Can you read? Just read there.
I'll just read from where we left. This is the only unmistaken abiding reality.
Yes.
Because it is established as real, it is the object of experience for the undistorted, pristine awareness of the exalted ones. Because it is invariable, it is constant, stable, and everlasting. Moreover, this enlightened essence that resides as the qualities of all the major and minor marks is explained by numerous synonyms throughout all of the Tantra sections of Secret Mantra. In brief, whatever phenomena of sights and sounds may occur, regardless of whether they are called relative or the subject-object complex or distorted phenomena, this perfected nature remains unblemished.
Okay. So, saying this the relative phenomenon is basically is the subject and objective, nothing else, because of this illusion of subject objective. So that means it's just sound, something you can hear, something attached like this. Only that. Ma kupa te an kanzop te ngurnila yochang chuyan la kupa maybe. So then it's the distorted means also only talking about relative level, but the ultimate level, there's nothing such thing, undoubted, not undoubted, polluted, not polluted, it's contaminate, not contaminate, obscure, not obscure, nothing. Talking about only relative level. So always have to remember the two truths separately. Then you is not confused. So they say this all is relative, or is untruth, or illusional, just like a rabbit horn. It's never existed. And then the opposite of the ultimate truth. If you think always that way, then you no mistake. So why we call other emptiness? Because this absolute truth of the Buddha nature, the other phenomena of the relative existence never distorted. never influent, okay? Nothing. So that's why. Empty of this. That's why absent of this. So that's why I call Gentong, empty of other, or extrinsic emptiness. That's why. So now say the all related phenomena is it empty itself, but also empty of other. Okay? Why empty of other? Because even the empty of ultimate truth, because you never exist. So how can be not empty of the truth, the absolute truth. So even is that, still we talk about this impermanent, and we talking about the suffering of nature, or the Buddha's, the no more teaching, the Four Noble Truths. This things we study need teaching. Why? Because we we have this concept long time. We have this habit so long, and we are so obsessed on that and so grasping. So that's why. Rangtong function. And also not only that, but also we are so obsessed with the self-absorption, self-centeredness. So that's why we have to practice loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta and everything. So then slowly, then we have to detach of this all relative phenomena. Then we have to understand the self-empty, the Rangtong emptiness. We have to understand. We have to practice that in negating the all self. So the best way is not analyzation, and meditate, and with accumulation merit, always focus on accumulation merit, and then meditate, and then just happens. You enter in the Buddha nature, and then you know the all is not real. Then you have a realization of that. Okay, then that's why all the paths is only one single goal to reach ourself, the Buddha nature, absolute truth. Okay, so if you have any questions, we can answer today. We have some time. So then the next time we can finish quickly. Not quickly, but we can do it. Maybe we can manage.
If anyone has any questions, you can add it to the Q&A area. The only one in there, Rinpoche, you already talked about, but the person may have wanted a further explanation. It was quite a long time ago in the beginning. So those who assert Rangtong unerringly and those who definitively assert that there is no essence are both proponents of Zhentong. Please explain that sentence. Ryan, do you remember where this one was? It was a long time ago. Yes.
I don't know.
Those who have the right view of Rangtong.
Yeah.
And those who assert Gentong, are Gentong.
Yeah.
It's a sentence that says that. It's back.
Yeah. Few pages. It's on, yeah.
Under where? I wonder what title.
It's under a little bit below the Vasubandhu part. So yeah, today under the three natures, pretty far down under the three natures.
From beginning.
Yeah.
Read the paragraph.
Yeah, read it.
Read the paragraph it's in.
Yeah. Therefore,
because I have to find in Tibetan, so not easy.
Yeah. Therefore, the pure Rangtong that was taught by the Buddha is that which abides as intrinsically empty within relativity, as well as within these three that are devoid of any essence. So those who assert Rangtong unerringly and those who definitively assert that there is no essence are both proponents of Gentong.
No, I can't find.
It's right before the Baba Viveka and Buddha Palita.
Or before?
Yeah, just before the sentence before that. 15.
I'm very bad on these things.
No, we're sorry. This is one of the rare texts that we don't have the Tibetan
Oh,
and
yes,
the
yes.
English.
Oh, you mean this one? What to say again, Julie?
Those who assert Rangtong unerringly, and those who definitively assert that there is no essence, are both proponents of Gentong.
Okay. Ngô nhít mê pa yang sambon de yin pi rangtong manor mawa tang ngô nhít mawa yin ngi na jantong mawa yin las. Okay. Dina sang gi son wi rangtong tag na kanzob rangtong tag ni ban de yin chance. Ngô nhít mê pa yang sambon de yin pi So after the talking about three natures, right?
Yes.
You want me to read it off?
No, read. Rangtong Varchakpi Lula Gayoto.
Second paragraph.
So we're talking about these three natures are very necessary, very important talk about, right?
Yeah.
When they're talking about that, and then saying even some Rangtongpas, they can some agree in that, okay? That's saying. And then after that, then saying Tina Sangi Gixon yi Rangtong Namna Kunzop the Rangtong the Nipan de Yin Jiang. Okay, then Buddha taught the Rangtong view. What means is all relative phenomena is empty itself. That is Rangtong's meaning, he's saying, okay? Ngô nhìn mê pa yang xambo, dayang yin pi Rangtong manor watang. So, okay, then what about this? Because usually the Rangtong but not emphasize these three natures, okay? But if these three natures, if somebody understanding, is that also, you know, these three emptiness, empty self. For instance, the imaginary nature is empty, empty of non-existent. The relational one is empty existent, and then this the great emptiness of the truth of the perfectioner. Who understanding this also, he's saying, is perfect understanding Rangtong. Okay, and then ngô nhít mit mawa yin ngin Gentong or mawa nam yin las. Or therefore, he said, if the real true Rangtong mawa, real true Rangtong ba who is the Gentong bas. Okay. Oh, maybe you confuse that then. Oh, how can be Gentong ba always criticism Rangtong ba? So how can be Zhentong ba Rangtong, he said. If you have that problem, the meaning is saying, Zhentong ba saying, Zhentong ba saying, the Rangtong is not wrong totally. Rangtong is not wrong totally, but some Rangtong bas have limited understanding Rangtong. So then when you have limited understanding Rangtong, then you don't understand Gentong. But you have to understand both. Okay, so then here saying why is Rangtong is not totally wrong, because all many things you negate, for instance the two selves, self of person, self of phenomenon, you have to negate, and you all the relative truth you have to understand the empty self. So that's Rangtong. That is nothing wrong. So that's why it's nothing wrong. However, if you then ultimate truth also is equals as empty of the relative truth, then is wrong. So that's why he's saying actually those wrong ones you not really understanding even the Rangtong. You claim I'm a real Rangtong ba, but you not really understanding even the real Rangtong. That's saying. Then who is real Rangtong understanding is the Gentong bas. And then you understand the real Rangtong, then you have chance understanding the Gentong, which means that when you understand it properly, how you negated the relative truth properly, then you have chance to the Buddha nature is not empty itself, empty of other. Then you have chance to understand. But you guys, Rangtong, you didn't understood that. That's why you are not real, even no real Rangtong. Huh? So that's why you not understand the Buddha nature. That's why you very, very surprised if we say, oh, Buddha nature is truly exist and is eternal like this, then they're very shocked because you don't understand even the Rangtong properly. That's he saying. That's Theravada saying.
May I ask?
Yeah.
Does it mean that they're trying to apply this Rangtong view to the third nature, which is inappropriate? So it's okay.
Oh, yes,
relative, but not in the third nature.
Yes. The Rangtong was the big problem is only you try to be two truth equally. You try to make empty. Three natures you try to equally make empty. So that's the problem. I hope that's clear.
Well, we'll continue on this subject, Rinpoche, because another question comes is about during the Secret Dakini commentary, you mentioned that Rangtompas can say samsara and nirvana are inseparable, but that's impossible for Zhentongpas. Why?
Yeah. How can be inseparable? Something is never rabbit horn and then the deer's horn cannot be inseparable, right? Okay, and then another way say illusion and the truth cannot be inseparable. Okay, so that's why. But I think sometimes there's advantage to understand this, to advantage to use sometimes the samsara and nirvana inseparable. There's advantage to use this because when people have no idea, no understanding at all, separately, it cannot distinguish whatsoever, but you have kind of faith, and then you say, oh, this is inseparable, then okay. So there is kind of like you're not going to extremes. That helps. A limit level, yes. Limit level is sometimes helpful. But when we're talking about the ultimate level, then it's impossible. So if it's possible, then we have to agree something never existed and then truly existed when you have to agree as same. Okay?
Okay, and then our final question today, Rinpoche, is what is the essence of the Sugatas and is there a difference, and what is the essence of the Tathagata?
Tathagata is essence. Sugata means the same meaning? Yeah. Okay. Is that essence, different name of essence. When we say essence or we say Buddha nature, is kind of rough way describing Buddha nature, the Tathagata Garbha. Okay? Sudatta and Tathagata Garbha separately, I don't know the Sanskrit names, so I'm not sure which one is. Because all Sanskrit names I learned only knew a limit way. In Tibet, we never use the Sanskrit word, we just use Tibetan. So that's when I come to and learn English, then I have to learn Vazabandhu and Nangajona, all of them and Asanga, everything I have to learn because we don't call that, we call Aladrup, Nangajona Aladrup, Asanga Tomit, Vazabandhu Rinyan, Dignanga Sholan, Dharma Kalti Chujitakba, and yeah, like that way.
Okay, thank you so much, Rinpoche, for today's teaching. Everybody, we have the continuation and hopefully our final, if we make it through all of it, our final teaching next week at the same time.
I expect a lot of questions for Gentong, but so little questions. I don't know, it's good sign or bad sign.
I think for this particular course, because of the time zones and everything, a lot of people are following it in the Learning Center and on YouTube from the writing in. So maybe if you are watching it later
Okay,
in your
tell
other
them
time
you
zones,
can
simply there.
write the questions. You can leave them. You can write the questions if you're not in person, have no time. This time you can leave the questions so written. Then next time I answer. But
Yes.
I can't answer forever, but I can answer next time definitely if they can write.
Yeah, so for all of you watching this now, sometime this week in the recording, you can send it in.
Okay, I hope you understand it. If then if you after this, if you guys reading the how benefits of the Gentong understanding, Tolpopa wrote incredible ones. If this section, if we can know from the Tolpopa's book, we given free read. So that's very very very. So in there I think the Tolpopas have the how benefits how huge fortune to understand Gentong and even to listen, even to hear. So those things I think people should read. So then people going to be very happy.
Oh, Rinpoche, I think a lot of people are reading that. There's been a lot of people downloading the Mountain Doctrine since you started the Zhentong Nyinpo
Yeah, but I
commentary.
think that I suggest that everybody read that particular section. The Gentong, how important to just even hear that part. If people read it, and then they're going to be very confident to and joyful to read. The rest of book. Okay.
Okay. Ryan, can you lead us in the dedication?
Yeah, we'll do the Jonang dedication prayers.
Okay.
May the Jonang Dharma of the omniscient Dharma King pervade in all places and directions, never declining, but instead spreading and flourishing for all time. Through the goodness of the unchanging three jewels and the excellence of the truth of the eternal ultimate, may the activities of the great Lord of the definitive Jonang Dharma auspiciously spread and flourish through the ultimate meaning of the sutras, the Gentong middle way, and the ultimate meaning of the tantras, the Vajra yogas. May we give rise to the essential points of the path that joins the view with meditation. May we completely clarify all gateways to this profound Dharma. Due to the arrival of the Buddha in this world, the presence of his teachings that clarify like a shining sun, and the flourishing of the authentic lineage holders, may the auspiciousness of the teachings remain for a long time. Hung Ho, completely surrounded by snow mountains, in the middle of a hub of an 8-petaled lotus, on top of Mount Kailasha, sits the divinely built capital of Shambhala, Kalapa, between the lakes of Manasarovar and white lotuses. In the middle of the Malaya grove, there abides the enlightened mandala. In all of the outer petals of the lotus, there are 96 million cities and so forth. Abiding in that sublime realm of mantra are the Dharma kings and kalkis, the hosts of deities of primordial wisdom, the 96 emanated kings and so forth. To all those worthy ones I prostrate and go for refuge. By the power of making effort in these virtues, at the time of death, may I be reborn amidst the retinue of the Kalki king in glorious Shambhala, and have the opportunity to accomplish the Kala Chakra Dharma. With these virtues, in reliance upon the profound methods with the power to destroy the collection of adventitious stains, as well as the channels of the life force and downward voiding winds, may I quickly attain my Buddha nature, the sublime other Kala Chakra. Whoever I meet, may I never, even for an instant, be influenced by those who steal eternal bliss, such as wicked teachers, mistaken spiritual traditions, the messengers of Mara, or negative companions. By the blessings of the authentic victors and their children, whichever roots of virtue exist in samsara and nirvana, and the power of our pure altruistic motivation, may whichever prayers we offer be swiftly accomplished. Always meeting with every excellence, always free from every fault, in whichever case may everything be most excellent, and may all our wishes be accomplished. the sole source giving rise to well-being and happiness. May the Dharma remain for a long time. Great beings who hold this Dharma, may your lives be long and firm. By the sound of this great Dharma drum, may the sufferings of all sentient beings come to an end. By this inconceivable good fortune, may these teachings be established and remain. Through the blessings of the three jewels, the energy and power of their waxing virtues, dearest Root Lama who holds the victor's teachings, may your life be long and may your enlightened activities increase. To the Lama, I pray that you have excellent health. I pray that you may have a supremely long life. I pray that your enlightened activities flourish. Bless me to never be separated from you. In all my lives, may I never be separated from my precious Lama. May I always enjoy the practice of the precious Dharma. And after completing all the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Lord of all the manifold mandalas, pervasive sovereign of all families, Vajradhara, may the lotus of feet of you, the authentic Root Lama, remain steadfast for a long time. With faith in the inseparability of the Lama and Kala Chakra, by the power of the virtues of going for refuge and making supplications, may I become a child of the Kalki kings of Shambhala and bring magnificent benefit to the teachings and sentient beings. By virtue of these accumulated merits, when I and others pass away in this and all future lives, may I excellently care for the authentic Dharma and may I be unharmed by whichever adversities arise. By the pristine virtues of both ordinary and noble beings, until the end of time, may we attain the peak of the Buddha's teachings. May we thoroughly increase the benefit and well-being of all beings, and may we enjoy the magnificent stages of the teachings and protect everyone. The great pioneer of the middle way of definitive meaning is the Dharma king of Jonang, Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen. The learned and accomplished ones who hold his lineage in general are many, but in particular the master of the secret doctrine is the liberating protector Taranatha. May their teachings blaze for a long time. This place itself a pure realm, in the sky above, within a sphere of rainbow light, on top of a lotus and moon disk abides the Lama Avalokiteshvara, undefiled by stains, body white in color, his crown ornamented by the perfect Buddhas. Looking on beings with the eyes of compassion, I pray to you, Avalokiteshvara. Through the profound aspirations of the Bodhisattva kings of Shambhala, may we manifest the glory of the second golden age in this world. May all of us Dharma brothers and sisters come to enjoy the good fortune of our courage and commitment. Long life prayer for Khentrul Rinpoche. Great mind of love and wisdom, the most excellent treasury, inexhaustible activities born from the God of gods, richness of Vajra gentleness with supreme aspirations. I pay homage to the protected one with this name, with immeasurable mind even more vast than space, advice uncontaminated and distinct like a clear drop. Dearest friend who plays in the inconceivable ocean, I pray to the treasury of perfect well-being and bliss, precious gem of the enduring bliss of all beings, appearing in the form of a universal monarch. May your life remain steadfast as the unchanging supreme. May your activities be accomplished with the speed of the five lights.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy to understand Gentong. Enjoy to read.